So here we are in the beginning of 2024, and on the table I have what I'm calling my gear essentials to start off this year. Mainly because I'm trying to, in a sense, downsize a lot of my gear and hoping to make things a little bit easier when I go out there and create content for the channel and just really capture and document a lot of things that I've been doing. Now, don't get me wrong, whenever I'm gonna need higher quality video or photos, I'm of course gonna grab my Sony mirrorless camera. This is the R5. I also have my A7S III, and these types of cameras, of course, produce a lot higher quality. And of course, you have a bunch of different lens options here to give you that reach if you need it. And in 2023, there would be a bunch of times where I just didn't shoot because sometimes I felt like I needed a larger camera, but really I kept going back to this gear here. So in this video, I'm gonna go through with you guys what I'm calling my gear essentials to start off this new year. Now, the first piece of gear we're gonna talk about is actually going to be this one right here, your mobile phone that's in your pocket. The quality coming out of mobile phones these days is so good, so there's really no excuse to get out there and create some sort of content. And if you pair this up with a 3-axis gimbal, you're now able to get really high quality and it'll be fully stabilized. And the next piece of gear we'll talk about is this right here, a mini drone. Now, this is the DJI Mini 4 Pro, but if you have something like the Mini 2, the Mini 3, if you have any one of the smaller drones, that's what you'll need to just toss into your bag. Then if you needed to get some establishing shots and you wanted to tell a little bit better of a story by showing an environment, that's what I normally will use a drone for. And if you're a solo content creator like myself and you do a lot of things outdoors and you want the drone to follow you, you might want to jump over to the DJI Mini 4 Pro. This has 360 obstacle avoidance and has the ability to follow you in all of their focus track options. Whether you're riding a bike, out there for a run, or even tracking a car, you're able to do that with this tiny drone. And the next gear we'll talk about is probably my favorite of this whole group, and that is this right here, the DJI Osmo Action 4. Now, while shooting with a phone is a really good first option, I will normally always have an action camera like this on me, mainly because of these reasons. It's super small, of course, all weather, all purpose. It could take a beating. And if you guys know me and my channel, I do a lot of things with my kids. So I'm either at an amusement park, I'm always documenting what they're doing, and it makes it super simple with a small action camera. If I'm in a situation where I know a camera might be at risk, I definitely don't want to use my phone, I'll get something like this. The magnet quick release makes it super simple to hook it on. That way I can actually hold my camera like this, compared to kind of hand holding your phone. And in my most recent outing, I took this with me to Disneyland and California Adventure. It makes it really easy to take this even on roller coasters, rides. The electronic image stabilization is really, really good on this camera, and the battery life lasts a long time. I pretty much took it out there for an entire day and actually just went and changed the battery once, and it about ended up with 50% on that second battery. The 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor actually does really well in low light, and the one thing I really like is the wide field of view. A lot of times when I'm out there recording, I have to be fairly close to my kids or close to the subject, so that wide field of view really helps out a lot. One update they have on the Osmo Action 4 that they didn't have on the Action 3 is they've now included a color temperature sensor, which gives you a lot more stable auto white balance. And the next essential gear we'll talk about is this right here, a 360 camera. This one is from Insta360 called the X3. One of the main reasons why I like this camera is the form factor is actually pretty small. So if you want to hook this up to a selfie stick and throw this out there, it makes it really easy to also keep this in your bag or your pocket. But if you want to capture everything around you, you can just toss this on an extension pole just like that, and you are now capturing everything in 360. If you do any action sports, this camera really complements something like an Action 4 because you're now able to capture a lot more in your video. And then all you have to do in post-processing is just move the camera around to determine which piece of content you want to export out. And that's the one thing I really like about these types of cameras is that you just know it's capturing everything and you don't have to worry about actually pointing it at a specific subject because you can actually just turn that camera around later and you can focus more on just actually doing the action instead of you having to worry too much about the camera. And the next piece of gear we will talk about is this right here, and this has been an absolute beast in my bag. This is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Since the release of this camera, I have been using this a ton. Not necessarily to completely replace my A7S III, but like I mentioned earlier, having something small, easily accessible compared to a larger camera makes it a lot easier to just go out there and create content, get some footage where otherwise, if I had a bigger camera, I would think twice about getting it, where here, all you do is whip this out of your pocket, flip it on, and you're now able to capture high quality video with that 1-inch sensor. And like I talked about earlier with the drone, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 has the ability to do active track. So if you wanted to set this up on a tripod and you wanted the camera to follow you, you're now able to do that on the Osmo Pocket 3. And the one thing I really like about this camera is there's a bunch of different dynamic framing and focus options. That's something you don't get with these cameras here. You don't have that depth of field like you do here with the Osmo Pocket 3. Also, when it comes down to color grading, the Osmo Pocket 3 as well as the Action 4 and the DJI Mini 4 Pro, they all have those D-Log formats. The one thing I like about the Pocket 3 is that the skin tones actually feel and look really natural straight out of camera. I actually use the Pocket 3 as the A-cam for my friend's podcast, and overall, really happy with how it turned out. What's really nice about the Osmo Pocket 3 is that if you want to shoot in horizontal format, you're able to do that at 4K 60 or in slow motion up to 4K 120. Then if you want to shoot in vertical, all you do is flip the screen down, and now you're able to shoot in vertical or portrait mode up to 3K. A lot of times when I'm out there shooting, I'm always trying to capture some B-roll, and this makes it super simple. I'm able to get positions that are really low, and I don't have to deal with that larger gimbal or larger setup. I'm able to do all that with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. All right, doing a little low light test. I'm using the latest and greatest GoPro Hero 12 digital image stabilization versus the mechanical. Now I'm just gonna do a little jog here, and this is where you might be able to see some of that digital EIS working versus having the standard mechanical gimbal here on the Pocket. And if you get the Pocket 3 with the Creator Combo, then you will get something like this. This has been an amazing new addition, the DJI Mic 2. And if you get the Creator Combo with the Pocket 3, it does come along with this one, but DJI just recently released this, which is a full setup. You get 2 transmitters here and 1 receiver. Having really crispy audio in your video is extremely important, because if you don't have good audio, a lot of times you might lose your audience. And these mics work really, really well, even at far distances. All right, so here's where I'm starting. I'm gonna start right over here. I'm gonna work my way all the way down there. Even though the DJI Pocket has a built-in receiver for the Mic 2, I am using the external receiver right now. So it is plugged in via the USB-C port. A new feature that they added here on the Mic 2 is noise canceling. All you have to do is actually press the button here on the side. You'll turn on noise canceling. So with that said, I am going to switch over to the noise canceling on the DJI mic. So here we go in 3, 2, and... Okay, we have noise canceling on now. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am in the same place. How does the audio sound? We have the beach, the waves, everything crashing over here on the side. How does the audio sound coming from the DJI Mic 2 with noise canceling on? By far my favorite feature of the Mic 2 is that it is a standalone recorder, which means I don't necessarily have to have the receiver with me in order for it to work. All I have to do is press the record button here on the side, and now everything I'm speaking to in this mic is actually being recorded to the internal memory on the actual transmitter. Another benefit to recording directly to the transmitter is you're now able to have 32-bit float on this microphone. The 32-bit float file actually gives you a little bit more dynamic range in audio. So if you do have a subject that might be speaking really, really loud or really, really soft, you're able to now recover a lot of those volume changes in your editing software. With this mic paired with the charging case, you're able to get up to 14 hours of battery life. And the one thing I do like about the updated receiver is they added this thumb wheel and selection button here. It makes it a lot easier to go through the menus. And the biggest benefit, you have a full touchscreen to go through all of your menu options, and you can control all of your settings of your transmitter. And a new feature of the Mic 2 is you are able to connect it via Bluetooth to something like your Osmo Action 4 or your Osmo Pocket 3. Now another cool feature of the DJI Mic 2 is that you're able to hook up this mic to other devices. So if you want to use your mic on your mobile phone, or here I'm actually shooting on the DJI Action 4 hooked up via Bluetooth. So if you don't want to hook up the entire receiver, yes, you will get better reception or better transmission if you hooked up the receiver, but this still works with Bluetooth technology. And there it is, guys. Just want to go through with you what I'm using now to start this year off. I'm trying to lighten up my load and really just focus on creating content and not having larger systems or larger cameras and gimbals slow down my process. Hopefully this video gave you a little bit more context on how I go about using each one of these pieces of gear. And of course, I have a lot more individual videos going into details and in depth on each one of these products. I'll leave those linked down below in the video description. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Ultra Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.